And we are back here.
Uh-huh.
This is a little different segment, which you may have seen or noticed from the title. I just kicked the tripod at accident. Holy shit.
Oh.
This is a new thing that I thought of myself, and only myself. I thought of this by myself.
Yeah, Chris was just brainstorming as he does. And he said, hey, I come up with 99% of these ideas. Let me come up with another. I said, hey, just give me the check.
No, we were... it was after last week's podcast that we recorded, and we were talking about therapy because Jaime just got a therapist, had his first appointment today, which we will get into.
Yeah, yeet.
But I just thought, I love whenever we talk about mental health and, just talk about the ways that we feel and get kind of soft and, comfy and vulnerable on the Cozy Show. So I thought, why don't we start a little, I don't even know what to call it, but, another little show, I guess.
Yeah.
About, our therapy journeys and
Exactly. Something a little separated.
basically just what we're feeling. And we could be vulnerable and, just be a little tender and hopefully work on some of the stigma, I guess, that there is around men's mental health and whatnot, and men getting therapy and men talking about how they feel and stuff. So that's basically what this is. We haven't thought of a name yet. We try to get a newer, different kind of background. We might make this black and white. Probably will.
Yeah. We're definitely
still figuring it out. Working out the kinks, but
the couch is not just 2 feet away from us right now.
Sometimes you gotta jump before you're ready,
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
Yeah.
So
same kind of as Chris was saying. I think a big reason I wanted to do this segment too is just we talk we're going to talk a lot about our therapy journey. Mm-hmm. And I also wanted to kind of separate it from the pod just so it's not super repetitive in case anyone's when they listen to it.
Something a little different.
So I'm okay, well, let's just get it completely. Let's just talk about therapy completely, and I don't have to feel bad because you're clicking into it knowing that this is just going to be about kind of those topics.
Yeah, so if it's not something you're interested in,
just go to the
don't
funny
click
stuff.
on it, Yeah.
But leave a like. But yeah, and then just kind of showing you guys we're just 2 average people, right?
Yeah.
2 average Joes.
I know we might seem like superstars and
yeah, I know we have the characters,
the best cars, the hottest girls,
A-list actor, but
yeah,
we live in Modesto, so we can only do so much.
And I don't know how often we're gonna post these either, so
yeah, it might be once a month.
It might not be a consistent schedule, but yeah, probably once a month or twice a month, maybe. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So and
just to kind of maybe hopefully calm your guys' kind of just break barriers of this is one big scary thing, which it can be, it could seem like it, but hopefully listening to people kind of their journey about it and maybe just how they're doing and what's going on, you'll be oh, actually this seems not in another, it's not from another world. It's just,
I just got a good idea. I think we should have fidget toys or something.
That's probably
that'd be kind of nice, right?
You fidget like a motherfucker.
I fidget like a motherfucker.
Maybe this is good for you.
Yeah, it just forces me to
just put your
the
hands
camera's so close to us right now, dude.
I know, it's kind of nuts. I kind of wish it was a little lower, not gonna lie.
Okay, you know what I was thinking though? Do you want to lower it?
Just a touch.
Okay, go for it. We'll cut it, I guess.
Okay.
There goes our fucking no editing. Just kidding.
All right, sorry, we changed the camera. Go guys.
And sorry. But that's something I'm trying to stop doing too, is saying sorry so much. I used to be really bad with that. Mm-hmm. And especially with relationships and stuff, I would be sorry for everything. Sorry.
Yeah.
And it would get pointed out to me a lot. And now that I'm back in a relationship, I'm noticing I'm doing it a little more. Not crazy bad like I would before and stuff, but it's been pointed out. Stop saying sorry or don't apologize ever. And I'm you know what? I shouldn't.
Yeah.
I'm just being myself, I think it's that people pleasing tendency a little bit,
Mm-hmm. Kind of scared if you're making someone.
Real quick before we get into why and how we started therapy. I was writing notes for the pod.
Yeah, before that,
you showed up.
Quick, hi Marnell, Chris Marisco.
In
case you didn't know.
Welcome back to the Cozy
Show segment of something.
I was writing notes before you got here, and I was just writing about I guess the stigma around men seeking therapy or men even talking about how they feel and crying and all that.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, even starting this little this thing, whatever it is,
sure.
This therapy talks thing, I was even that, I'm feeling the stigma because I'm I'm sure there will be a little bit of judgment, no way they're fucking starting an entire new podcast kind
about
of
therapy.
About therapy.
Yeah, almost head ass.
So it's head assery. You know what I mean?
So it's head assery.
So it's I'm that's it right there. That's the stigma in full form.
people are gonna
preventing me
judge it 'cause
from
they're like,
talking
this
about
guy's,
it.
like,
You
these
know,
guys are making it like a big deal or something. You know.
Also, I feel so head ass even mentioning therapy in like conversations with people. Like even with Lindsay, which like Lindsay's so hyped that I'm doing it and stuff, but like we'll be trying to plan like our hangout for that night, and I'll be like, "Well, I have therapy at 5."
Yeah, you feel like a snob.
Yeah, I feel like a dick,
like,
or like
actually, you know,
or more like just a whore. Like,
yeah,
like it's like I'm trying to flex that I'm in therapy.
Yeah,
you know? And I'm like, I don't want it to come off that way. Like, oh, therapy. You know?
Yeah, and I think it can for sure, but it's like it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's almost like when someone has a boyfriend and they keep bringing up their boyfriend, you're like, yeah, it's annoying, but it's also like, well, it's their life. You know?
Yeah,
I
you
guess,
get it.
I think, especially in the beginning, I think you should allow yourself to kind of have room to be excited and like say it. And, you know, I'm sure just like with anything you just start, you're very excited and you just want to say it. It's in your mind. And then after a few months, you're like, oh, it's just routine. And you're just going to name drop it here and there. Oh, yeah, I went to therapy.
Did you ever get caught in this loophole of like, this shit happens to me all the time. It's happening right now. Like, I'll get caught in this loophole of realizing how much I overthink. And then I realize that I'm overthinking about overthinking. Like right now, I was thinking, fuck, hold on, what was I thinking? I had like a whole like rabbit hole in my head while you were talking. Okay, because... Damn, I kind of forgot. Okay, because I was thinking like how I come off by just saying that I'm in therapy. And then I was thinking like, but isn't that one of the reasons I'm in therapy? So I can just be comfortable being myself and like...
saying what you want.
And not being afraid to say what I want, not overthinking, because that's one of my big things, you know? And then I'm overthinking about how I come... This is like...
It's a boom, crazy boom, boom, boom.
Like... It's like a domino effect for overthinking.
Yeah.
Know? That happens to me sometimes. Where I'm like...
You're just thinking too much and just kind of like... It's thinking about things. It's like...
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, yeah. Like your...
Because I started thinking...
thought process is the problem.
Yes. And then I started overthinking about why I was overthinking. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm overthinking about...
Yeah, it's like every time you're actually like almost being... Not like self-aware, but every time you're kind of being like self-aware, it's another layer of overthinking. Like it's another layer.
It just keeps...
You're just kind of like...
It's like an onion.
It's like you're watching yourself. And there's just more people watching you. And it's just like...
It's like a Russian... Those Russian dolls.
Yeah, it's like just keeps going. But it's like the opposite. So it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. It just goes forever.
Okay, so let's start about why we're in therapy. For those of you who haven't watched the Cozy Show and have watched this, which seems so odd that would happen, but maybe.
Oh, maybe actually, maybe some new viewers.
You know, like, oh,
we
could
could say, hey, Chris dies during his therapy session or something.
We gotta clickbait the shit out of this and be like, how to be happy or something, you know? Like
we were solved in 10 days. You can too.
How to stop overthinking. That's the title. I
How
think.
to stop anxiety. 3 easy steps.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's good.
I think it's pretty good.
I honestly kind of want to do the exact opposite of like I just want to call it what it is.
Yeah.
You know, like no clickbait. Almost.
Yeah.
And very simple. It'd just be like,
work so hard to do that with the Cozy Show.
Yeah, it's like I don't
need
this to be, honestly.
Yeah.
Anyways.
This is so comfortable.
I feel cozy.
It's just different. Like different. I don't know. Because it's like I'm not like I need a crazy interesting topic right now. Because I'm just being myself.
I like talking in this tone.
It's nice.
Professional.
I'm not trying to be all like, you know.
I'll go first.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, you know, I've been wanting to go to therapy for a few years now. Years, guys. You know, this is years in the making. And I think it just kind of all started with being like, I think your issues in young adulthood don't seem like crazy big deal. Like they do, but I just feel like maybe you just think they're going to end. Like just going to end once you kind of graduate, or you just don't really see it affect much of your aspects in life. But I think once you kind of get older, you realize like all these little things grow, all these little bad habits and thought processes. And I think that's kind of just what ended up happening to me was like all these little small things of like emotions and reactions. We're like, yeah, whatever. I'm just in high school. Like I'm just a kid. Yeah. Who cares? You know, is it because maybe I just didn't do my homework or I procrastinated that or, you know, in relationships in high school and stuff. It doesn't really matter in a sense. You know, you're kind of like the center of attention in a sense.
Like you're in a movie or a fairy tale, kind of. Because you're like, well, I'm just a kid.
Yeah.
I'm living at home. I don't have a job. I don't pay rent.
And the people you're around aren't any better much, you know?
Yeah.
So I think I got to the point where I was like, once I was graduated and been a couple of years, I was like, dang, all these things, all these bad habits and everything is kind of catching up to me. Yeah. And then you kind of like get that self-realization where it's like people are their actions and people are their emotions in a sense. Mm-hmm. So like, you know, for example, like just having like extreme anxiety is going to deteriorate like my relationship with my friends and family, you know? Or why the fuck are you smiling?
I was just like, I love the tone, and
Yeah.
like we're just so like mellow.
Yeah, chill.
Instead of being so crazy.
Yeah, I just took an edible too. So. I'm just kidding. And things like that, where it's like all these small things are actually kind of bigger in the scope of things once you get older, right?
Oh.
So I kind of got to the point where I was like, okay, this is becoming a problem. And then you get that, like, kind of a little bit of Chris was diving into was like this self-awareness. And you're kind of like bashing yourself almost. Like,
Yeah.
oh, these things suck. And it's been like this for a while, and I'm not doing much, and I'm not doing anything, and I feel these certain ways all the time. And it just kind of like a really big unhealthy cycle, right? And yeah, then you kind of get to like certain breaking points, right? Of course, like everyone, it's just like you get to like that point, like the tipping point where you're like, okay, I need to do something.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's, you know, you don't do it sometimes. So there was a couple of tipping points for me where it was like, I'm feel really bad. I'm at my worst. You know, I'm very like depressed or very anxious. Like I'm very hateful of myself, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you're like, well, I got to get help. Like you just know, like you got to get help. And then the next day happens and it's just like so easy to forget all that.
Yeah.
Because you're distracted, you're at work. And then
on to the next
it's not
thing.
until maybe a week or two or a month later, you're like, fuck, this is why I should have done something, right?
Yeah.
So in quick, you know, ways, I was like, okay, well, you know what? This is finally the time I want to do it. And this whole year,
Yeah.
I think I've been doing better at just like crossing off stuff from my list and like being more proactive of like things I want to do. So one of those was therapy, right? I went to my doctor. Oh, I don't want to get to that point, but yeah,
Yeah.
I just was like, I need to get help because without it, it's just going to be this cycle of like anxiety, depression. And I think like just all my relationships are going to be worse. And then just like certain things, even by yourself, right? Like, I realized today, even in therapy, like I don't really take a lot of moments to like self-love and stuff like that, you know, and to relax. And that's important. So like stuff like that where I'm like, I know I need that.
Yeah.
So that was like a lot of my reasons. So it was like, okay.
That was beautiful, man.
Yeah.
It sounds like you thought that, like you had practiced that.
Actually, guys,
You
we
know?
have a Telegram on the TV.
We have a
it's
fucking
like-
teleprompter
I put
thing?
chat GBT. The best ways
to hook an audience. Honestly, man, like my therapist asks me that every once in a while. She'd be like, "So why are you in therapy?" She's asked me that multiple times.
Age-old question.
And every time she asks me that, it's a little hard to answer because I feel like there's not one reason. And I feel like for the past few years, like I've said this many times on the Cozy Show, but I'll say it here since it's the first episode. Like I've been wanting to start therapy for years, probably like 2 or 3, if not more years now.
Yeah.
But was always just scared and just put it off. Not really scared, but more just put it off. And I was just like, that's such an adult thing. It just overwhelms me to fucking think about doing it, you know, like sorting all that out.
Mhm.
But I feel like it was just a buildup of a lot of different things. Like one thing I think I could benefit from a lot is just like I want help developing like better habits and routines, because mainly with like getting enough sleep and just being more disciplined like with that type of stuff, because I'm always fucking underslept and I fucking wake up like 15 minutes before I need to leave for work, and I'm always late to work. And like I literally got an email today saying like I'm about to get a warning from my points and shit from being late.
You still have your nose piercing?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they.
Which, yeah, I got a warning at work for fucking having that in.
Are you
which
taking
is
it off now?
stupid. Yeah, but I forget, so I'll like show up, and then within the first hour, I'm like, oh fuck, and I'll
Yeah.
like take it out and put it in my pocket, and I've lost so many because I do that, you know. But yeah, that kind of pissed me off too. It's a whole other can of worms. But yeah, that I have like a lot of family shit I want to like figure out how to deal with. I had like kind of a hectic upbringing. I mean, who hasn't? Like the older I get, I'm like, everybody went through so much shit like with their family that like just never was addressed and like was probably just a toxic cycle, and we all just think that's reality, you know, but it really doesn't have to be.
Not the norm.
But exactly, it just becomes the norm, but it's like shouldn't be. So there's just a lot of stuff like with my family I would like to learn how to deal with and kind of like digest and whatnot. Anxiety, like I said before, I feel like anxiety just became like a default reaction for me.
Yeah.
Like when something new comes up, or there's like a curveball or some spontaneous change or something, or like, I don't know, anxiety is like the first emotion I feel. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? You know, which I'll get into like what I've learned about that later, maybe if we get to it. But that's a big one, is just anxiety. I had like major fucking burnout from like just my lifestyle and work, like 5 months ago, and I got shingles, which is like a fucking disease that old people get, and the only reason like young people get it is if they're like under a crazy amount of stress. So I was just like, okay, that's a fucking wake up call, you know, that like things need to change. I need to put less pressure on myself. I feel like I've been very self-critical, like always been really self-critical. But especially like with the podcasts and just everything, and it's a big thing I want to get into about therapy too, is like how that's helped me a little bit change that so far.
Sorry, take some notes.
Yeah, man, there's just a lot of other things where it's like I just know things could be so much better. Like this is not optimal. Like I can work on so many things, and like you said, it's hard to like pinpoint it because, well, at least for me, it's hard to pinpoint the exact reasons I want to be in therapy, because it is like a cycle like this for me where something bad happens or I'm in a really bad place and I'm like, I fucking need therapy so bad, and then it eventually like resolves or I feel better, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking fine.
Yeah.
You know, fine. And then you're just like distracted by other shit. You move on to the next thing, and then it just never happens. So that cycle went on for years. And now I fucking finally started it, which I think is why I'm so passionate, because it's something I wanted to do for a while, and it's been helping me. And yeah, that's pretty much my spiel.
Nice. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. I mean,
I try to like nail them on the head, because I feel like on the Cozy Show, I'll like kind of just breeze over it. I'm like, I don't know. But
yeah, actually take
try
a
to go
second
in
think
depth
about it.
here, you know?
Yeah, some thoughts I had while you're talking and stuff.
And moving away to San Diego, and I want to know how to deal with that, and leaving everybody I know and love
Yeah, because it's not just past stuff now, it's a lot of future stuff.
in my
too, right?
relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck, yeah.
Yeah.
You said something interesting too when you were like, it's something that was kind of like you just kind of pushed off, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely like a thing that everyone does, right? If they think about therapy, that for me, it was like something I pushed off. And the closer like I got to actually signing up, it became from something that's like, oh, I just don't want to do it right now, do it later, to like, I don't want to do it. You know, like,
yeah.
like it came from something that's like, oh, I don't want to, like, it's just something that I have to cross off my list. I'll push it down. Like,
Yeah.
it just became a different kind of problem in a sense. It went from like a procrastination problem to,
I'll do it next week, or I'll do it tomorrow type of thing.
yeah, like it went from that just because it's like, oh, I don't want to do it. And then when it started turning more of like this is something that's actually viable, like that I'm actually going to do, it became like scary, you know?
Oh,
it was just like, oh shit, it's not just procrastination, like, cause it's coming, but it's something like I really don't want to do, you know? It's like getting really uncomfortable, like just thinking about it, because now it's like, oh, it's something on my list. No, it's like something you're actually gonna have to like actively work on, you know?
Yeah, I relate to that on like a slightly similar level. Just like I signed up when I was going through like a fucking damn near like mental breakdown. So that was like what pushed me to fucking finally do it.
Yeah.
Which I'm grateful for, but also it's like it shouldn't have gotten to that point.
Sure, yeah.
But once I finally had my first appointment, and it was like the first, like it was a few days leading up to it, I was scared, because I was like, shit's getting real, you know?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to face this shit. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to face a lot of things that are just in my head that I don't like to talk about, and I'm gonna have to tell them to a fucking stranger. Like that was one of the scariest things for me, was and still is difficult, is like, why is it shaking like this?
I'm shaking my knees.
Me too. Fuck it. It's probably fine.
Yeah, it's like
but yeah, that was the tough part for me, but let's just stay with the beginning parts I think for now.
Sure,
and
yeah,
we'll ease into
definitely. I was gonna ask you, were there any fears? Like, what were your biggest fears before you even got into like your first session?
Like specifically fears about the first session, or about like
anything
starting
that happened
therapy
before.
itself?
Yeah, anything that happened before the first session was basically.
I think big time was just the fear of like, I don't know if I'm like, if I have the guts to say what I'm actually like, because it's hard, and it's like some of the things I'm really ashamed about, that I'm like bothered by, and like, you know, want to work through, or like that I've done in the past.
You feel kind of like ridiculous saying or something like
ridiculous or just like shame, like, and I don't want to be, I feel like I'm gonna be judged, which like I'm sure regardless there's like a tiny bit of judgment from the therapist, it's human nature, but like yeah, just that, like, just being like, am I really ready or even capable about, like, even capable to open up about these things or like admit that I've done like this or that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so.
It gets really very like, it's like you feel like you're the only one or something, you know, and that this person is going to be like, holy shit, you're a monster.
Yeah,
you know?
because I think in your head you make it seem like you're the worst person ever for what you've done or like the habits you have or whatever.
Yeah, thought process.
And I always think I'm the only one. Yeah, I'm like, I'm the only one that fucking like is embarrassed about this or like or does this or that, you know? And then you talk to them and you realize you really are not. It's super common, you know?
And it's manageable.
That was really my biggest fear, was just being able to open up to like a stranger and just in general about things like that. What about you?
For me, the stranger thing wasn't, I don't think, too big of a deal. I think my sister was telling me, I was talking to her about it after my first session, and she was like, oh, you know, I kind of like that it's a stranger, and I like that too. Like, I never was super scared.
Yeah.
I was actually like just super glad because it was just someone that like I could just say whatever I want, and I felt like so good because I'm like, well,
really?
And this sounds weird to say, but it's almost like, hey, I'm paying you to be here.
Yeah.
Kind of like, you're a stranger. I'm paying you to be here. This is your profession. You're very professional. You've been working on this for years.
Yeah.
Like, this is it. This is perfect. It's like almost like a glory hole. You know, you just get psyched up and you go.
That's a good analogy.
You know, like it's not your ex. It's not your bitter ex. You know?
Yeah. You don't know. Yeah.
It's like beautiful in the sense where it's like, I'm here with a clean slate, and not only that, but in the future, you're just being so, I don't know if this is the right word, but like proactively trying to help me.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if that's the right term. But like, you're just actively like trying to help me throughout the time. Yeah. Forever.
Yeah. Like that's the whole point of this.
But real quick for the fears, I think like I got just really scared realizing like the accountability, you know?
Yeah.
Like just being held accountable is a lot, because like I said, I think when you kind of think of therapy, sometimes you think of it kind of like a level in a game or like a chapter in a game where it's like, you know, this is something you do, you accomplish it, and you move on.
Yeah.
Like, and you leave unscathed, and it's like characters in a movie where like what just happened at the beginning of the movie didn't even matter. Like they're the same person, you know?
Yeah.
But then you realize like, no, this isn't just like something that you do and you're done. It's like something you do and you're aware, and now it's up to you to do and to continually do what you need to do.
Yeah.
You know? So that was one of my biggest fears, especially like as it was coming up. I was like, whatever my therapist kind of tells me, and at the end of the day, my therapist is only going to tell me what.
I'll write some notes.
Oh yeah, great. Copy here. My therapist is only going to tell me things that, and this is Chris's point, my therapist is only going to tell me things that I want to hear, almost. Not like I want to hear, but that is going to be helpful for the direction I want to go. Yeah. Right? They're not going to, if I want to be more of a loving person, they're not going to tell me to be cold, you know? Or if I have issues being like nice to people, they're not going to tell me to like, don't be nice to them. Like, they're not going to be opposite. They're going to just guide you. But with that, like, even though it's like the direction you want to go, it's still uncomfortable, you know? Yeah. And being held accountable is really hard, because it's like, when it's just you, when you lay your head on that pillow at night, you know, it's just you. Yeah. So you can be like, fuck. There's like this weird coin flip of like two sides of the coin, where it's like one side is all this self-hate of like, you know, what are you doing? This cycle, all this bad stuff, right? And then on the other side, you're like, oh, it's okay. You know, you're just a person. Yeah. And I think both of those is really bad in a sense, where it's like, one doesn't allow yourself to grow because you're just stuck being like in anger and you look at yourself in disgust, and the other side is almost too lenient because it's like you're just not going to allow yourself to change. So then like every day it's just flipping those coins from like, oh, allowing yourself to be, you know, doing these bad habits that you know is bad or whatever, and then you just flip the coin and now you just judge yourself, and then you just keep going. But I think with a therapist, it's like in that middle point where it's like, no, let's, you know, praise yourself for trying and doing the stuff, and like, let's change these actions. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just smiling so much. But it's just like, I was just thinking how nice this is.
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, I feel good.
Right? I'm trying to slow myself down and not get too ahead of myself, like keep on track with
like
why and how we started, but you're just hitting so many banger points. It's so hard.
No, we should because we have, let's just get to the beginning, right?
Like how we started, or just start with the process?
Were you a premature baby? Okay, so we got past the fears, right? So let's kind of maybe talk about what was your path to getting a therapist, if that's okay to get to.
Like the method I used?
Yeah, just kind of from when you were actually ready, like the first time you took action, basically.
This is hard
like
because I want to talk. I'm so transparent on our podcast. I want to fucking just say like every specific issue, which I have not planned to do that at all. Like I don't want to do that because I'm like, it's just like the shit I'm working on in therapy is obviously shit that I don't want to tell people, you know?
And I don't think you need to, like, and I don't think you should, like, I don't think this is a therapy session, you know? And
I think maybe here and there I'll disclose some stuff depending on what it is and the nature of it and stuff. But, yeah, so like I said, I was having like a really, really, really bad day. I don't think I've told you about this in detail. Mm-hmm. I vented to Issa about it at the time. But wasn't venting to you about it, and I don't remember why, but, yeah, there's just several, like, things that happened that kind of sent me on, like, a fucking anxiety bender.
Sure.
And I had, like, very little sleep the night before this day, which always fucking, like, sends me off a cliff, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like a
my emotions are so, literally,
you know?
my emotions are so, like, rocky and, like, uncontrolled when I haven't slept that well before, like I'm talking like 4 hours of sleep or less. Like,
you're making me uncomfortable.
Oh, the way does that happen to you, or am I the only one? Because I feel like I'm the only one.
Like, dude, I feel like when I don't get enough sleep, my whole body's shaky. Almost,
yeah,
like mentally,
I know what you mean.
I'm just like, you know, and I just can't think, and I'm just like I'm hella pissed, and I could sleep right then and there if I relax too much, and then but I just feel like shaked. Like I'm just shaking.
You wake up and feel like weak almost.
Yeah,
like
weak and like for me it's like the shakes in my head.
Yeah.
Like I feel
I know exactly what the fuck you're talking about.
And like even with water, you're like waking up but your body's still numb. Almost,
yeah, it's fucked.
Anyways, I don't want to talk about it. It's getting me worse. It's getting me bad, Juju.
But I had a so you can imagine what kind of day I was having, right?
Yeah.
And I still went to work. Like I remember thinking like I should call out. Because I think I was still awake and I was like, I work in like 3 hours. Or like I have to be up in like 3 hours or something, you know? Terrible. And I remember thinking like I should really call out. And I was like, I can't. Like I don't want to waste the days or like get a point or something. Hindsight, should have called out.
Yeah.
100%. Sure. You know?
Yeah.
Like I would have done it. But I still went to work. Terrible at work. Like the whole day at work, I was like, bro, I just want to be home and like sleep. Like I feel like shit and I'm so worried about like this situation that was kind of going on. And then, yeah, I got home and I was just like borderline, trigger warning, panic attack.
Oh, yeah.
I've had one panic attack in my life and it was fucking the worst
that was when you're high, right?
I've had two actually. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah.
That was not the one I was talking about.
I thought you had one with Cheech, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I did, which I'll talk about that at some point.
Yeah, probably in the future.
But
whatever.
should I talk about right now?
Yeah. Sure.
Nah, it's gonna derail me too much. Basically, I got too high when I was like 16, and it's such a nice ring.
It really is.
I got too high when I was 16, and I was already like, before we smoked, it was such a bad scenario. I was already anxious going into it, which now I've learned never fucking do that. Like, I don't really smoke weed anymore, but if you do, don't go into it when you're already on edge or something like that, because it's just going to carry over and it's going to fucking heighten. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened. Like, I was just hella anxious. Weed was illegal at the time, and we were like walking around in my neighborhood, and I'm a sophomore in high school.
Coke. Or with a bag of Coke.
And we smoked like just publicly, and I was like so in my head already about it, and then I got high, and like I didn't know what was happening. Like, and only now.
Yeah. Derail the whole thing, huh?
Start talking about my fucking emotions, and
this is about
just gotta bring it back to you.
Actually, let's move this camera this way.
So selfish. Yeah, basically the anxiety just rose and rose and rose. My ears were ringing, my heart was pounding, and I thought I was gonna die. And that's what a panic attack is in a nutshell. So
yeah, Cody gets that. Cody Co.
Really?
Yeah, he gets those. I think he's got some on the pod.
On the show?
Yeah.
No way. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. But basically, I felt like I was on the edge of one of those while I was at work, which is so scary.
That day.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I used like block breathing to calm myself down. Nice. And I also had a break. Like it was my break time. So I was like, thank fucking God. And I like went outside, walked to my car, and I just like 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out. You know what I mean? Nice. And that like was able to calm me down. I was almost off anyways. But yeah, I got home still in a terrible like mindset. that panic attack feeling. Sorry, I'm gonna talk about it real quick.
No worries. Our show.
God, that feeling, like, I just feel it in my stomach. Like, it's almost similar to the feeling you get when you know you're gonna throw up, and you get kind of cold and like cold feeling in your stomach.
Your heart drops and balls drop.
Like, I almost just get really like a light, not even lightheadedness, but I just feel it inside me, like in my fucking gut. Like I feel, just like it's bad. Anyways, I got home and then I was just like, this needs to I need some support or like some way to like deal with shit when I need to deal with it, and know how to like navigate these things. And it just got to like a breaking point, and I have insurance. I have health insurance, good health insurance too. So I wanted to use that because I know therapy is expensive and stuff. And every time like I would try to look on my insurance's like website, it was just really overwhelming. And like, cause I would have to call the places, which like is really not that big of a deal. But I was just like, fuck, like I have to straight up just call these people and be like, I want to get an appointment like with this person. But at the same time, like how the fuck do I know who I want to pick? Like who's going to fit for me, which is a big thing in therapy, I guess, is finding a good fit. It's kind of like having a friend or like just someone you're going to talk to all the time, especially about this kind of shit. So it's like, it's important to have someone who kind of aligns with you and you get along with and click with. So that was like a big thing. I was like, how the fuck am I going to choose somebody and just hope that it's the right person, They'll have like bios and stuff, but I'm like, I don't know, man. So I would get overwhelmed. I tried doing that day and I was like, fuck this. And I listened to a lot of podcasts, obviously. I'm a podcaster, shout out. But I always hear these ads for BetterHelp, and that's what I ended up using because I was like, fuck it, there's a discount code, and it always seems so appealing. And what appealed to me was like, you can switch therapists. Like, you don't even have to tell your therapist I'm switching. You just fucking tell BetterHelp, and they're like, all right, we'll pair you with somebody else, who fits for you. And you answer like a long, kind of like, not crazy long, but you answer like a questionnaire about what you're like and your interests and all that shit, and then they like pair you with somebody who has a therapist who has those same interests and stuff. And so that was really appealing. And then I ended up getting like a really good deal. They have like a financial aid thing, and I did that, and that gave me 15% off. And then I forgot to do the discount code from the pod, which apparently you can't do after you make your account. And I told them that. I was like, what's going on? And they were like, let's see if we can give you an additional percentage off. And I ended up getting 40% off, which is nice.
For first session only?
So that might be a little hack for you guys. No, for my whole thing.
Forever?
Yeah.
Forever. 4%.
I think it's forever, or it might be for like 6 months or something. So or like 12 months.
If you don't mind, how much are you paying per week?
I'd never done the math. I think I just guesstimated at the time, and I've never checked my statement, but it's like 150 around there.
A month?
Yeah.
And if you were like, so if you didn't have any discount codes, it might get to like 250.
Maybe like 260 or something.
Not bad, because that's like 50 a month.
Am I wrong? Is that math off?
You said 40% off of 150.
260. That'd be like
so.
one.
I think so. It might be 270.
170.
170.
It's 260 without anything.
Huh?
I don't know, man. Basically,
it's somewhere around that ballpark.
For now, I'm like, I'm cool with this,
Yeah, like it's not
and it was
breaking the
just
bank
so urgent that I was like,
anything.
I'm just gonna do it, And I'm a little ashamed that I didn't use the insurance, even though I have it.
But whatever.
I was just like, let me fucking just start.
Maybe once we move and we have to like count pennies.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that's me. What about you? How did you go through it? And I would just like to say real quick, I've only had like the same therapist since I started, and I feel like she's a really good fit so far. It's been like a month and a half, 2 months, probably 2 months since I started, or maybe a little more. I don't know, somewhere in there. But I think
it's like less than 2 months,
Yeah, and I really like her. I got a female. I wanted a woman. I feel more comfortable with women. I grew up with women, no brothers.
Yeah.
Dad was there most of my life, but then dipped out. So I just feel really comfortable with women. So I opted for a woman.
We can talk about therapist next too, segment.
Yeah, go for it.
I started off by went to the doctors. It was like a normal physical, and by then I was like, fuck it, let's just do the damn thing, right? Yeah. I don't know. I kind of went the movie route where it was use your doctor as a therapist, use your doctor as as a guided therapist, not a direct to therapist.
Yeah.
It just seemed kind of like the adult smart way to do it in a sense for me. So yeah, whatever. So I asked the guy after everything, and I was like, hey, like I was wondering if I could. I was like, I started with like, oh, like I have like something to tell you, but it's not really physical. It's more like my mental.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird to it's just weird to talk to a doctor about.
Isn't it interesting when we say hard shit, we like make it a joke,
Yeah.
or we like change our tone and like use a euphemism.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, to soften the blow.
Yeah, it's like
I try to stop myself from doing that as much as I can, but it's so hard not to,
Yeah, it's kind of just like makes it things easier. So I asked him, and his response was interesting at first. He was like, "Oh, not interesting. I think it's like maybe something they're trained to do."
Yeah.
Basically, like saying like, "Oh, anxiety is normal." Chris has told me about this in the past too. Like anxiety is normal, right? It's like
just like an emotional response.
Yeah.
That's trying to tell you like to be careful, or like,
just about your surroundings, basically.
Yeah.
About your environment, or like what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Like it's necessary to live.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
would be nothing without it.
Mhm.
So it's like, some anxiety is not fun, like it's normal, but if it's obviously like affecting your life, then we could refer you to someone. And I was like, yeah, I think it's affecting my life. And then he left. The nurse was like kind of telling me to leave, and then I was like, oh wait,
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be doing something,
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, he left out the notes, an accident or whatever. I missed. I don't know. She gave me like a little questionnaire, like kind of like the whole like how often do you feel hopeless in a day? How many times do you worry? Some days, most days, several days.
Yeah.
That whole question.
And you answered that in person?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Kind of crazy, yeah.
That is crazy.
The girl looking over me after I say yes on everything. I say most days on everything.
Needs fucking help.
She writes on the paper, help. And then she just gives it to the doctor.
Call 911 now.
He has a bomb.
Fuck.
No. But she was super sweet. And then she's like, okay, well, and I was pretty like stern.
Yeah.
On like, let me know what's going on. Like, let me know if I'm going to get what's going on. Like, can you let me know when I get a referral? Because I basically just asked for a referral for a therapist. Like, can you let me know? Anyways, a couple weeks go by. I'm not seeing anything in the app that we have or any messages or anything like that. So I kind of gave up, honestly. When I gave up, I was just like, put it in the back burner. Like,
Yeah.
I did all I can.
Mm-hmm.
I did all I can. And then I get a call from a social worker who at the time I honestly thought either was my therapist. I thought she was my therapist.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't know what was going on.
My therapist is a licensed
Social worker as well.
and clinical social worker, LCSW.
So I didn't answer.
Yeah.
Of course. I was just like super scared. I was just like, I don't know. I'm not ready. I think she called me at work the first time and I was like, fuck. And then I was like, I'll call back later. And I didn't. And then she called me the next day. And then she called me the next day.
Yeah.
I was like, damn. And I just pelled it off. I think I waited like another 2 months until I called back. And I was like, okay, I'm ready. Like, I got to stop putting this off. Especially once you got therapy. I was like, fuck. I got to do this, It was funny because I got the referral first. Like, I let you know first, and then you got a therapist faster. Like, how the fuck?
But even then, there was a gap. Like, there's a pretty big gap, I feel like, between when you told me that you initiated that doctor's appointment and stuff, and then when I got it, it was like a month or two, I feel like.
Oh, yeah. Like,
it was a while.
Had some time.
It wasn't like you did it, and I was like, oh, fuck, I got to get one.
Yeah.
'Cause I think we both secretly wanted to be the first one to do it, just to flex on the pod, you know?
Or just to be like, hey, look, I did it.
Yeah, but I was, I came out on top, so.
Well, I kind of steamrolled the whole thing.
Well, that's neither here nor there. When push comes to shove.
Yeah, who got first, huh?
Just kidding.
When we get the higher date, yours is earlier, I guess.
Yeah.
I hope you feel proud. And I called her back. And I was like, hey, you called me a few months ago. And then she like kind of recognized it. She's like, oh, yeah. And she's like, well, I saw that they put you for like psychotherapy. Wait, psychology?
No, psychiatry.
Psychiatry.
Which means it's
Like,
someone who prescribes you medicine.
Yeah, not very like behavioral
really,
like therapists.
Yeah, they're not going to talk to you.
They're just going to prescribe
too
to
much.
you. So it's like I changed that because I see that in your notes you wanted just like behavioral therapist, and so we changed that.
Yeah.
And she was just super nice. We did the questionnaire basically again, and a bunch of other stuff. And I went through a referral program called Quartet. Filled in some stuff with them. They called me. I called them. I was like, hey.
Wait, you filled in stuff saying, I think I asked you this before. I forgot the answer. But you filled in stuff saying like what you wanted in a therapist. Like they tried to match you, or how did that go?
Not much. I don't think so.
Did you put like male or female or like any of that?
I did with Liz, the social worker.
Oh, she asked you what you would look for.
Yeah, but then I thought Quartet was gonna ask me because they're the ones that are like the matchers. So maybe she passed on a lot of that information. Was I'm thinking.
Probably.
Anyways, yeah, I got my therapist, and she called me or she like left me like a message or something, and yeah, her name's
Yeah, don't say it.
Yeah, she's someone, and she has a cool name or a nice name. I don't even believe it, but
yeah,
it's and yeah, we kind of that's it. Like it's all she wrote. It kind of was a little bit of a back and forth, a few weeks. It tested me a bit because like any of those times I kind of wanted to quit.
Yeah,
but for some reason I had like some pretty good. Instead of seeing it as like a stalling point, or like almost like another step, like another issue. Every time I had to do another thing, like call another person or wait another week, I just knew it was like a step close to progress. So like it just always felt good in a sense, you know. Like that's why I think I didn't get dismotivated or unmotivated because I was like, this isn't like another like. I don't know what the fuck that word is where you're like stopped.
A roadblock?
Yes. Jesus Christ. But it wasn't another roadblock. It was just a step towards therapy. So yeah. And then I got scheduled my first appointment.
Okay, let's hear how that went. Because his first therapy appointment was today.
Yeah, today.
It's crazy that we're already doing this pod because I feel like you have such a little feel.
Yeah, to actually digest it.
Yeah,
What it is, whatever. Yeah. It was good. So I went to my car interestingly enough, I didn't tell my mom, my sister, and my nephew who were all there
at the house
in the morning.
Yeah.
Even though I knew I had the appointment. I don't know. I was also kind of rushing, which I didn't want to be rushing. So I filled out all my forms like the day of.
Yeah.
That I had to fill, which were like 10 different forms. One was a questionnaire again.
Was it like right before the appointment too? Or
it was like 10 a.m. It was like 9 a.m., but it took like an hour.
Okay, yeah. What kind of forms were they?
A lot of them, like most of them, like 8 out of 10 of them were just like super easy, like read and agree statements. But like 2 of them were like in depth, I think, like very like, what brought you to this? What do you seem like? What are your goals with this?
Yeah.
Have you experienced this? Do you do this? Do you feel like this often? Like very long typing stuff. I try to get as clear as I can, but I was also like, just say this on therapy, you know? But I wanted to answer honestly.
Yeah.
So yeah, weirdly enough, I didn't want to tell him. I just was like already kind of rushing, and I was like, I just don't want him to be like a big deal right now. It just was like overwhelming, and I was just like, I just told him I was going to your house.
Oh, so you went to the car and did?
Yeah, so I went in the car and I was gonna do it. I was gonna do it in my car in the parking lot, but I was like, I don't want them to see me and just like interrupt me.
Yeah.
Like, oh hey, what are you doing? So I went to the park.
So you went to a fuck spot.
Yeah, I did.
You did?
Well,
like a spot where you've
done
shit before.
You know what?
Lit Road?
No, I'll tell you right now. Hold up.
Oh.
Yeah, that one. But to the left.
You went there?
The park.
Oh, the complex.
No, the other park.
The one by your.
The one with the playground. The one with the playground.
The one where we edited that Reno video, vlog.
What? No, the one where you did the.
I'm trying to be so discreet because I don't want to edit anything out.
It just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Well, I might go again.
It really doesn't matter.
I mean, who cares?
Okay, yeah, fuck it. Okay, you went to a park. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Anyways, Jesus. I do my gas was on empty, so I was like, oh my god. And I was like, fuck, I knew I should have filled it last night.
Did you tell her about that?
Huh?
Did you tell her about that?
No. Yeah. I did give it that example of like stuff I procrastinate so much that when I do on time, like it's so like makes me feel so good. Like just getting to the point where you fill your gas before it gets to empty. Yeah. It's like, oh, it's just another thing you don't have to worry about. Yeah. Like, it's just normal.
It's
like,
the best.
Fill it at a quarter tank.
Yeah.
You know?
Literally.
So I had to fill it out. I literally got and sat. I was literally ready at like 11:58.
And that's the start at 12. Yeah.
And I sat down. I had my notes.
In the car, right?
In the car. It was like perfect. I had it like right above.
Phone?
Yeah, I had it like above the wheel, like right there, like this, and like it was perfect. Like I looked good.
I feel like so many people do it in the cars because it's like a private, like you don't want people to hear you. Obviously,
I would have preferred like a laptop and like have it like in a living room, but you work with what you got, right?
Yeah.
And maybe a future because I will tell my family. I just don't want to tell them today, but once I tell them, they might do good at. Well,
have you
also,
told anybody in your family that you got therapy?
Alex.
Oh, but none of the ones you live with, right?
No.
Like
but also, like, I want to be able to say what I want to say loud, and or if I'm crying or something. You know? Like, I don't want to be in my room.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like, the walls are so thin.
100%.
What if I'm saying, like, man, I have issues with my mom, and my mom's like right there.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it's fucked.
So I think I'm gonna keep doing them in the park.
Yeah, me, like, my sister works nights, so she sleeps during the day.
Yeah.
And every time I've had therapy, it's been when she's sleeping.
Nice.
But this week that just passed, she was awake, and like I was like, fuck, like I haven't even thought about this because it's never been an issue. And then my mom came over, so they're both here in the living room, which is right next to my room.
Yeah,
and I was like, fuck. And like they came and left so quick. I was like, yes. I was so happy because I was already like so paranoid about like what I was about to say, you know?
Yeah.
So that was nice. But
I was thinking too, maybe I just don't know the loudness, and I don't know if I'll do it, but maybe even just being in the park.
Oh, like
laying
sitting
on the grass.
Oh wow.
But
yeah,
and have like actual headphones on.
Oh, headphones would be good, I think.
And then I think it'll go good. And it's like you're in this nice.
But imagine you're crying in the park.
Could be worse things to do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right.
But what if people come up and like, are you okay? And then by the time they're close enough to ask you that, they're like, oh shit, he's talking to someone.
Yeah, maybe
you know?
not actually. Maybe
That's what I would worry about. But
no, you're right.
I am a little bit of
because I wanted to be like, because almost when I was in that car, I was like in my own room.
Yeah.
I was looking out a little bit. You know, there's people passing, but I felt pretty like I felt really relaxed.
Yeah.
You know, I like put my seat back, I put my leg up, had notes.
Nice.
Yeah, so it started at 12. I try to make it not like super quick because you know it's about me, but I want to be able to talk at least maybe our first therapy session or something together, because it's getting.
Yeah. I'm so tired, but I feel good.
Yeah,
surprisingly.
I feel good. So, well, I think it's because we're not exerting too much energy.
Yeah.
But it was good. We got to like introductions. She gave me kind of like her background, right? She kind of gave it to me like 10 minutes in. But
I have to ask because I asked on the pod. I said, how does she seem? Because you talked to her briefly on the phone.
No, you said, how's she sound?
I said, how does she sound? And your response was, I think she's black. Which I was like, what the fuck does that? That's not what I was asking, first of all.
I don't know why. What
does
how does she sound? Like,
that
kind of sounds like, how does she sound? Almost like, how does she look?
Was she black?
Yeah, she was black.
Okay.
Like, come on. That's spot on with that.
Yeah.
No, she was black. She looked good. Just cut this. Cut this part.
No, we're not cutting that. We're not cutting that.
Like, I don't know.
We're not editing this. It's fine. This is This is therapy. This is or whatever. I wish we had a name so I could say what it is.
Yeah.
But
she looked. She was great. Like she was good
We're being
looking.
open.
She was very like. I love her teeth. The way she talks. Like it's like. I don't know.
Oh, like she. Yeah.
Like enunciates.
What's her name?
Thing. I can't say.
Okay. Fuck. Can you type it?
Yeah.
Because I had a professor at Stan State, and she was also black.
She's not gonna be. What do you think? All black people are the same?
Definitely not her.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying the way she pronounced words was like that, like with
Yeah.
her mouth, and she had nice teeth, and she would be like.
And I think that's just a common trait when everyone can enunciate well.
Yeah.
And I love it
Yeah.
because I can't.
Yeah.
Because I'm very like mumbly and
Yeah.
blah, blah.
Yeah.
So the way she talks, I was like, oh, you have like, it's so good. You know?
Okay.
It's not like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, but can we just be honest here? One of the things we talked about on the Cozy Show when we were talking about therapy is you were like, I'm almost scared.
You know, I said that and I wanted to kind of clarify because I was like, one of my concerns was like, okay, well, when you get a girl, maybe I'm like a little flirty vibes because I'm like, I tend to flirt with women no matter what. But the reason I kind of want to say that where it seems a little bit more grounded is because it's almost like when you get a emotionally mature friend that's a girl and you think you like her. And it's probably just because she's like emotionally mature and she's like providing you feedback and like you just never experienced this before. You're like, what is this? And, and or just like, you know, when you have like a male in your presence and he's doing like he's guiding you and he's teaching you, you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm attached to you in a sense. It's like it's so new but also so respected that I'm like, and that she's a girl.
And so you look up to her. Like,
oh my gosh. And then I'm like, oh, what if I like
she's
you?
pretty,
like,
which
she's
doesn't
pretty.
help.
And like, you know, you kind of like, not like fantasize, but like, what if, I don't know.
Put her on a pedestal.
But now that I got therapist, like, I haven't thought about that at all.
Nice.
Like, I
didn't think you would.
I wasn't like, oh my gosh.
I really
cute.
did
like,
not think you would.
I want to flirt with you. I don't know. I thought, but like, I just thought with like someone who's like providing all this information and stuff and like something that I respect, like a topic that I respect, and she's helping me and she's caring for me. It's like you kind of get those false feelings, I guess.
I didn't think you would be in that predicament at all.
Yeah.
Because you're not there to fuck around, you know? And we're not those type of people that are just going to fucking,
I'm there to
be
find
bullshitting. Exactly. Yeah. There to find out.
Without the fuck arounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she was great, man. And, you know, she made it very clear throughout the whole thing that she's there for me, you know?
Yeah.
Whatever I want, she's going to guide me to it. And she's obviously asked me the age-old question of, like, you know, why do you want to be in therapy? You know, kind of said what I said earlier, right?
Yeah.
Anxiety kind of hinders my life. And I know that overall I can make better life reactions and choices and react to life better, right? And I just have a lot. So I was like, I want to do this thing, you know? And some things she told me was like, okay, like, or I don't know, they're just so damn good, you know? So damn good.
So good.
Or
The
it's
reactions and the things they tell you.
Exactly.
Like, wow. You know?
And I want to go even the opposite direction too. Sometimes I was telling Roger this, I was telling him about it a little bit. I was like, sometimes they're not even saying like revolutionary ass shit, you know? Like they're just literally, sometimes they're saying stuff you've thought of, or like something that's not very like out of like hard to think of, right? For example, it's like, oh, if you're feeling overwhelmed, maybe just like separate yourself from the situation. Like if it's like super bad. And like, yeah, sure, I've thought of that. But it's the fact that they're telling you and the way they formulate
it's someone who
it,
knows too.
it's like the whole accountability and respect thing. Like I respect you and you're holding me accountable. It just comes at you way different than you just telling yourself like, oh, I know what I got to do.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know.
Well, we've known what we've had to do,
Exactly.
but we haven't fucking done it.
And
You know?
I think it's like there's always a difference between like aware and doing it.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And that's the difference is like I'm not just being aware in my little head because I think I'm slightly emotionally intelligent. I think about this stuff a lot. Like I talk to Chris about everything a lot. Like I'm not some guy that's like I don't understand my feelings 100%. Or like what is emotionalness?
Yeah, we
There's
know.
No problem, right?
We're pretty aware.
But I know, and like some of the things I'm like, oh, like I kind of knew that, but it's held at such a different. It has such a different weight to it when she says it, you know?
I think sometimes the best answers are the simplest ones too
Yeah.
in life, you know? And yeah, when you hear from someone who you respect so much and like, knows what the fuck is going on, it's like, oh, okay. You know? Yeah. Same shit with me for sure. Like those easy answers, you know?
Yeah. And then there is those like curveballs where they're like formatting something like crazily or they're saying something like super deep and you realize they have a degree in this shit. You're like, wow, this is nice. Like this is not something I could have got from my friends in like 10 years, you know?
Yeah.
So it went well in that sense. And I think I kind of impressed myself. I'm not going to lie. Like I told her, like, she was like, okay, what are some of your strengths for like therapy? Like that you think are going to be strengths? Cause I think she saw I was kind of going towards the like self-hate route, and she's like, okay, let's emphasize some of your strengths you got here, right? Which was nice. I was like, dude, I think I'm a really good communicator. Something I've been working on like a lot this year, just communicating with my friends and people I've been in relationships with and stuff like that. Like I really want to communicate, like big old thing, you know. Thanks to Issa was a big advocate for communicating, right? I think before then I would have never like seen how easy it was or how important it was or like how it fixes a lot of things. So I was like, I think in therapy, honestly, I don't think I'm going to hold... I mean, I will. I'm sure there's going to be some tense subjects, but I think I'm not going to be the type that's like pulling teeth out of me. Like, I'm going to be able to say anything you want to say, and I'm going to talk about something, you know?
Yeah.
And then I told her like my willingness to change. I was like, I've gotten to a point where I want to be here. Like, no one's dragged me to be here. You know, it's not like my parents put me in this or anything like that. Like I got to the point where I was like, I need this. So I think like my willingness to change is like very good, you know, like it's, I feel really ready, but, let me try to finish this up. Okay. But, we talked, honestly, another thing that I noticed, it's an hour session and it felt like it, like,
oh really?
It felt kind of fast, right?
Yeah.
In the sense where it's like, I could, if I wanted to, I could keep talking. But it felt like just the perfect amount where I was like, I could keep talking and I could keep going, but it's kind of a lot for the week, you know? Yeah. There's not really a point to kind of go more than you need to.
And once are you doing them weekly or every 2 weeks?
Weekly.
And I think once you're doing them weekly, it's going to keep feeling like that, like, I don't know how much shit I can talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So exactly. And it might get a lot of repetitive, right?
Yeah.
Topics. But I remember I was like looking at the time and I still had like 20 minutes left and we're talking for a while. I was like, this is great.
So
like,
it says an hour? It said, like,
she said, like it's an hour and it's 12 to 1.
Because what's interesting about mine is I think it said like 30 minutes or like 30 to 45 and we always go an hour. So I'm like, dude, it's sick. Like,
nice.
I mean, I'm glad. And
I wonder if that's something she can't change.
I don't know. Wait, what do you mean can't change?
Like maybe on the app it says like,
stuck
to 30 or 40, but she's like, I'm doing hour sessions.
Yeah, I think so, maybe. But there's so much shit I want to say, but I'm gonna let you finish, so and then I could share mine, maybe.
Okay, be quick.
No, go. Just take your time.
All right, I will be quick. And one of the things I'm gonna leave it with, just kind of like this last thing, which was kind of like my call to action. She's like, okay, how do you want these therapy sessions to be set up? But a lot, like I said, just guided by you.
Yeah.
Which almost makes you like these are some negative thoughts I had throughout the therapy, right? It's like kind of when I said like the simple answer stuff, sometimes you're kind of like thinking like, oh, is this what I'm paying for? Like, like simple stuff. Like I could have thought of this.
Yeah.
But it's different.
Yeah.
Like you had to take therapy serious in a sense. Like if you just look at it like glass half empty, that's what you're going to get out of it. Like, oh, this is dumb. She's saying this. She doesn't even care. She's getting paid for this. Like all stuff that is technically almost true, right? Like, she is getting paid for this, right? Yeah. She's not like 100% thinking about you when you're done. Yeah. I'm sure just a little bit. And like I said, technically she isn't saying crazy groundbreaking things, but the other side isn't any less true. It's like, no, she does care when you're here, She's paid to get here, yeah, but that's a profession, And like it doesn't make it what you're saying any less valuable. So I could see like people like, especially people who are reluctant to go to therapy, like coming in with that very like stern, like fuck this shit, like I'll just try it, but this is stupid. And you could get what you get out of it. Like you could get those answers, you could be like, hey, like she's not telling me much, and things like that.
Imagine people that are mandated to go to therapy, like like
they're just
I guess criminals.
It's almost like people who go to like rehab, and they're just like they look at it from such a skewed point of view where it's like
they don't want it. They're not ready.
They don't really take it deeply.
Or they didn't choose to be there.
It's like people and like religion too. Like if you're not religious and you go into church, like all this shit they say doesn't have much weight. Yeah. You're just like, oh, they're just spewing words from a book. Yeah. But if you're religious, then you're like, wow, this is actually, it's what you make of it. Yeah. So those are some thoughts I was having, but I was trying to be like very like, no, this is good. Optimistic. And it was good. It was good. It was like, and one of the things was, like, oh, sorry, real quick. The reason I got to that was because she was like, okay, how do you want this formulated? And that was another thing where I was like, okay, like I'm paying, but you want me to figure this out, Yeah. But it's like, no, like, it's like, this is for me. So I had to guide it. She could throw me whatever she wants and she thinks is the best, but that doesn't necessarily fit for me. And I have the tools capable enough to figure this out. She's just walking me through it. Right. So she's like, okay, do you want a little bit of homework or, how do you want these sessions to go? Like oriented wise and whatever. Yeah. And one of the homework she said, but she's like, the homeworks aren't really homeworks. Not saying she won't do something like maybe like how you did with like the movie. Oh yeah. But it's more like like some coping mechanisms and actions, right? But who knows? It was my first one, so I should throw that in there. Yeah. But one of the things was we made a list, and she's like, okay, well, like your anxiety, like we said, is always going to be there, right? Where from a scale to 1 to 10, 1 being like you're fucking chilling, you're great, whatever, like cloud 9, I guess, to like 10 being like you're like super overwhelmed, like you're really bad, like damn near panic attack, like you're gonna blow up, Yeah. 1 to 10, where would you feel comfortable where you could still have anxiety but like be okay? Yeah. Like you're at it's there, but you're not gonna be hindered by it in a sense. And I took the thought because I have hate scales, right? I'm like, what is that? I don't know. Yeah. I was like, I think 3 to 4. I think 3 to 4 would be a good scale where I'm like, okay, I know it's here. I know it's going to be uncomfortable, or I react like, with anxiety and have these anxious emotions, but I still will get what I need to do done, or I'll react in an appropriate way, or I'll, stuff like that, where it's like, it's there, but I live it. Yeah. And it was cool because then we went, okay, from 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 down, or 3 down. What are we going to do for each of those levels? Oh, right? Wow. So 10, giving you a game here. But this is just for me, guys. I don't want this to be like a thing where it's like we're repeating exactly what we say in therapy, just because, I am. I'm not saying like I don't want it to be like that, but if I am like that, just know people are unique. It can help you, but just know that this might not work for you. And like I came up with this, right? Yeah. But feel free to use it, I guess. But just a warning, just so you don't think it's like professional help, I guess. 10 was remove yourself from the situation, right? Like you
Yeah.
gotta take a breath, listen to a song, just like leave, because
Mhm.
like obviously this is just too much and like something bad's about to happen. And
Yeah.
you're too far gone almost, like, or you're almost gonna be too far gone.
Yeah.
Then I came up with the rest, and she kind of helped me a little bit along the way. So 9 was box breathing, right?
Oh,
Was
shit.
just breathing in general, like calming yourself down to basically where your thoughts are like kind of clear enough to be like assess the situation, right?
Yeah.
Because like when you're at that like 9 or when you're at like that 10 stage, it's like your mind's all over the place, and it's so much thoughts, and it's
Yeah.
overwhelming, and you can't even find the door, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of like breathe so your vision gets clearer and you could find your way to go, right? So 9 was breathing. 8 was I think was writing down. I had it written and I forgot my notes. 8 was like writing it down,
Mm-hmm.
I believe. So that's kind of just like, okay, or either it could be like, what are you feeling? What do you want to do? What do you need to do? What's causing this?
Yeah.
7 might be or 8, honestly, I think 8 might be like figuring it out first. I can't really remember. One of them I'm missing already, but
Yeah.
it's whatever. And then I think 7 was like, okay, now like, what do you have to do to like what is the next step basically?
Yeah.
Like, now that you have it kind of organized, like what are you gonna do? Like what do you need to do, or
plan.
Yeah, exactly. Why is this happening or whatever exactly? And then 6 is kind of just like to be comfortable enough to do it, you know. And I think that's maybe 5. So I'm saying I'm missing somewhere where it's like 5 is like you're comfortable enough to like be like, okay, I'm gonna do it, and kind of give yourself a little bit praise for getting there, right? Like you're at a calm place, you're getting like where you want to be. 4 and 3, right?
Yeah.
We said earlier 4 and 3. So like you're at a place where you're basically gonna be at 4 or 3, but you have all these things behind you that are like you're armored up for what you're about to do.
Yeah.
You know,
Nice.
you're not like going in there naked and all stressed and all over the place.
For
And your brain's
sure.
like, it's like
Like you're ready to
here.
figure this shit out.
Exactly. So it was cool. And she said, honestly, just try to do that once in the next 2 weeks. And
What are you reading?
Carrie said, do you have some good news recently?
Huh.
Maybe she thinks of you.
Is that I'm taken?
That was to me.
Huh. Maybe she's waiting for her merch.
Oh yeah.
I gotta ship that.
Anyways.
Okay, anyways.
So she says, like, honestly, if you just do it once, like, I'll be happy. Not saying she didn't even say it because she didn't start like that. I said it almost like, I don't know if I could do this or whatever. And she's like,
Well, if you could name.
well, I'm like,
each
it's
step.
scary. It's scary to like, or it just seems like I hopefully I can like do this thing step by step. And she's like, dude,
hold
honestly,
yourself
just
accountable.
do it once and I'll be okay.
Yeah.
You know? And like, but it's
Yeah.
not like she started off like doing once is okay. Like even if I don't do it, she'll be okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's one of my actions. So I'm hoping that
Nice.
future throughout this week, I'm sure there's going to be like a pretty big stressor, whether it be like life or job.
Yeah.
And I could use these steps.
Do you feel like you get to a 10 a lot?
No.
How often is that?
No, I don't think so. Maybe at night, I'm probably like, but more like a 9, probably by 9.
Really?
Or like a 8.
Like when you're trying to go to sleep or what?
Yeah, it's just like so overwhelming because now it's just you. There's no distractions or nothing. It's like you're getting to that point where it's like, and then you're stuck, and then you kind of want to go to sleep, and you need to go to sleep because it's late. And
But
it's
then
just
you're,
like you're not doing
stressing
anything.
on how much
and
you
you
need to
can't
go
do
to
anything
sleep.
at that late. Like, you know, it's just time to sleep, man.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to really be thinking too much of this all
Damn,
right now.
man.
So-
How often would that happen then, do you think, at night? Where you get to like an 8 or 9?
Not like anytime I'm alone, asleep.
Anytime?
Well, yeah, it's just kind of like my
Oh,
nightly
wow.
routine of just being like down bad, you know?
Yeah. See, when you tell this to the therapist, they don't react how I just reacted.
Yeah.
I said, anytime. They'd be like, okay. So what can we do? You know, like, that's crazy. When
Okay,
you tell your
get-
jackass friends, like, they're going to react
Yeah.
differently, you know?
And I'm actually, I think I react always super crazy to things. And I kind of like
Yeah.
to, you know?
Oh, yeah. You're like, what?
Yeah.
No way.
And it's fun to
Yeah.
me, you know? But sometimes it's not necessarily appropriate.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like what you told me about this situation that happened recently.
Yeah.
And I was like, Jesus, you know? Like, I don't make it a point to hide it, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's good or bad, but sometimes I'm like,
I mean, you're my friends. It's like I wouldn't expect you to respond like a fucking therapist, you know?
yeah. Okay, so
Anything else you want to say about it?
that's pretty good. That's it.
Nothing? How do you feel about her, your therapist? Do you think
Good. I
so
think
far?
so far I'll keep her.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel uncomfortable to say no if I need to move on. I mean, I do feel uncomfortable. Actually, that's a lie. I don't know. I said that. They would be hard to leave because it's like, fuck.
You have to tell them.
And I had.
Well, you don't have to.
I don't
tell
think
them,
you
right?
have to tell them. But I think maybe
worker.
responsibly, this is like one thing where it's like, hey, I want to let you know, like professionally.
Yeah.
But she was great. It's really great, and I'm really excited to work with her.
Nice, man.
I'm excited.
So were you nervous in it? Like, were you nervous to start that appointment, or?
Yeah, like, I mean, like I said, the whole accountability thing, and a big thing is being overwhelmed, like, because it's not like you could start from the beginning. It's not chronological.
Yeah.
It's not like, okay, well, when I was 1 year old, and this everything that happened to me. When I was 2 years old, everything that happened to me, and then these emotions came. It's like you're just like thrown into it in a sense, or you think you are kind of thrown into it, or you think you will be, where it's like, oh, okay, you think like 20 conversations are gonna happen at once. Like, oh, this is happening, and then this is happening, and this is what I came up with. Oh,
that's what it feels like. Yeah, for sure.
But I feel like it's definitely a lot more guided than you think is going to happen. Because I think you think like, oh my God, this is so overwhelming. Because I have this issue with my dad, but I have this issue with my friend, and I have this issue with my sister, but then I have this issue with myself, and this emotion, and this totally opposite emotion. Oh, did I mention something about the past and the future?
And I think this is why this started. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, I mean, that's all going to come up eventually, but it's not going to be like that your first session. It shouldn't be like that. You're not going to cure everything.
Yeah.
Like I said, you could keep talking for as long as you want, but realistically, you're not going to want to, and you shouldn't. You know, it's like just little by little. It's going to take months, years, practice.
Yeah.
So that was one of my fears, right? I was so overwhelmed. I was like, bro, there's just so much. And it was interesting because you had said something too where you're like, oh, once you kind of start asking yourself, like, why are you in therapy? It's hard to answer almost. And it's just because there's just so much. But then once you're there, you're like,
Same.
Yeah, and I remember I felt almost stuck because it was like I had like 2 minutes to think about it because I was sitting there, parked. And I kept asking myself what she was going to ask me, which was, why are you getting into therapy? And I had like maybe a 1-sentence answer.
I am anxious,
right?
I have anxiety.
I am group. And I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, it's frustrating because you're like, bro, I have so many reasons why I'm here, and like, why can't I fucking think about it?
But like, once it started going, you just kind of start flowing.
It's like a conversation where like, or a fucking podcast where it's like, what the fuck are we gonna talk about? And then once you start talking, all these fucking things start coming up.
It's also kind of hard not to ask her about her life.
Oh yeah,
because I want to have a conversation.
You love to know about people.
Yeah, and I just want to keep talking. Like she mentioned her background, right, of this and this and that. And I want to be like, oh, how was that? Where'd you get into that? Whatever. It's like, this is not a friendship. I can't. Or it's just not appropriate. It's not the time.
It's going to kind of waste a little time. That's how I feel in my mind. This session I had this week, or last week, I guess, my most recent therapy session I've had, was the first time I've really, like, just talked with my therapist about, like, who she is. And she's shared a lot, And I remember feeling, like, almost like... No, I felt good because I like to know, but then after the session was over, I was like, I feel like I didn't really get to talk about much about myself and like shit that I want to work on, because I don't know if this is the way that these sessions should go. Certainly it's not the way they have to go, and I know that. But every session I have, I kind of try to have something in my head that I want to talk about or like work on, which probably is like unrealistic. Because I don't think you're always going to have one concrete thing where it's like, I really want to work on this about myself. Let's dig into it. And like, it's probably going to take multiple sessions to work on with just one thing.
Yeah, it's like one and done.
Exactly.
One and done.
So that's how it's been going for me, which I kind of probably will break out of that because I feel like maybe it's just like not the way to go about it. Yeah. It's like I'm trying to tackle too much probably too soon and stuff. But yeah, I remember like it was really nice to hear about her, and she's super fucking cool.
Yeah.
And I feel like we get along really well, and like we really click and get to talking about all sorts of shit. But I do remember feeling like it was good still. Like she was dropping dimes on me like the whole time, like game, like giving me really good, insight and ways to think and view things and stuff. But I do remember thinking a little bit like, damn it, there was some shit I wanted to talk about. Now I got to wait another week.
And I think
but it was still very helpful
because we have so many sessions.
It was like this. It was just like a conversation back and forth, and like I would talk about little things here and there, like I feel this way about myself, or like I feel like I handle things this way. So it was still good and very beneficial. And
maybe knowing your therapist makes your relationship better.
Exactly.
Too, right? Yeah. But it is kind of like man, I've been waiting this whole week for this. And now I lost
I didn't have
10
anything
minutes.
crazy to talk about, but there was shit I could have brought up.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to bite my tongue certain times for sure.
Yeah.
I already was like biting my tongue. I was like, oh, I could keep conversations going. That's what I do.
I think as it goes, that's gonna happen naturally, and you guys are gonna you're gonna find you find out more about her.
Yeah, and she was using herself as a lot of examples because I think we struggle with the same thing, and she's kind of describing her journey to it, and it was a lot of like, oh, me, what I do, or how I feel.
Yeah,
and it was very similar. When she's talking about her perspective, like, oh, I feel like with my own anxiety, sometimes I feel like I get overwhelmed as well, and then sometimes I had to write it down or use a planner. Another thing that I really want to get a planner. I know it's kind of like head ass, right?
Yeah.
But like a planner with a calendar sounds great, but I want it small.
Yeah, like you could keep it in your car or like.
Yeah, I don't think pockets too small.
Too small.
Yeah, but I don't want it to be like even honestly notebooks a little too big.
Yeah.
I think I like them in between. I just kind of like
Sure you could find one like that.
Because I was telling her, like, I always do this constant cycle of like, what do you have to do? And it takes like 5 minutes of my brain capacity. And then you do it like every hour where you're like, what am I doing? What do I have to do? What have I been stressed on today?
You go on your phone for how long.
Yeah. And then you just
do the next thing. Yeah.
I haven't talked to her about that at all.
Straight up. That's a good thing. But okay, the thing you were saying, like, when you were saying you feel like you need to talk about all these different aspects about shit and like address everything all at once. That was when I realized, like, this is going to be a long process, you know? Like, this is probably going to be, like, years, of therapy.
And even if you're done, right, and the therapist is like, hey, honestly, I think we're a good point to, like, maybe stop.
Yeah.
Because I think that's almost
I think that is the way it's supposed to go.
Right?
I took a whole class on therapy in college, and that was, like, a big thing. Is, like, you establish what goals you want to work on and where you want to get to, and then once you get there, it's like unethical for the therapist to keep going.
Which I don't like.
They're just taking your money.
I don't want to imagine like stopping.
Yeah.
Once you go.
And I haven't even talked about that with my therapist. Like, one, we haven't made any goals.
Yeah.
And two, it's like we've never talked about stopping, but we have just talked about like
goals. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Like what you want to get out of it?
Or just like what is your ideal outcome of this?
Oh wow. See, we didn't do that. Yours sounds a lot more structured than mine. Mine sounds kind of like we're just really laid back and like friends almost.
But that's nice.
That just talk, but like, bro, every time I get out, I feel so good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's crazy. And then I forget how good I feel. And then every time I have the next session, I'm like, I forgot how fucking good this feels. Like, after, I'm like, damn.
Yeah, this is great.
It feels
it's like
good.
a massage.
And then I'm in such a good mood. Yeah, it's like almost like like how I feel after like meditating or like a crazy workout or something. Like, just so calm and like just accepting everything and open-minded and like I'm like everything's gonna be okay,
Yeah.
So I feel
you have a plan. It's not so much just in your brain.
Exactly. You get it out and you start to work on it.
And you're a professional, man. A professional. Yeah. Like, what more do you want?
Yeah.
You know?
Do you think we should cut it here?
You don't have anything to say? I know I talked a lot the latter half.
I feel like I'm too tired to like be really effective right now.
Yeah, no worries.
I get really sleepy.
Can we have maybe another 5-10 minutes of just some closing thoughts?
Yeah.
Just because this is probably the one episode where we kind of have this like before, beginning, middle, and end. Yeah. And the other ones will be a little bit more just like whatever, right? So maybe like this might be the only episode you watch or something like that. Okay. Do you want to say anything? Yeah. First of all, too, I just want to say I don't know how long these will be. This one went pretty long. Do you know? But I don't think. I mean, I would like to keep them shorter. Probably under an hour and 15. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was thinking shorter than that, but we'll see. Yeah, fuck it. I'm not trying to put any like pressure or anything. I just think it depends because we're doing 2 pods a week now. Exactly. Oh, well, it might not be every week. Yeah. So maybe that's why it might be longer. Yeah. Who knows? We'll see. I know. Maybe long, maybe short. But yeah, I've said it before, but like, it's hard to get there. It's intimidating and scary and stuff, and like. It's scary to address those demons that you've had probably for a long time in your brain, So I would recommend it. I'm like 2 months in here, but I'm as 1 day in. Let's go, baby. Time to quit. Yeah, I went to therapy. We were talking joking the other night. Like, I went to therapy for this. Yeah, we were saying like it'd be perfect to go once because you could always say you did it. I've been to therapy, or like you're just taking a break, but you're gonna get back. Yeah, exactly. Which is okay. Like if you only went once, but we're just making jokes of it, right? Everyone's just like a person that's kind of like, oh yeah, I went to therapy, but I'm just taking a little break from it, but I'll be back. But they just used it just solely so they could just keep saying it. Yeah. But
My brain is shutting down so hard.
Okay, I'll close it off.
You close it.
Yeah, like Chris is saying, it's really hard, right? And it's getting easier every generation, which is great. I'm sure you notice you've heard about therapy, even just the term, more than fucking your grandparents did. That's for sure. You know, so it's great, man. Like, it really is getting easier every day. You know, and even though sometimes it doesn't feel like that, and sometimes like it feels like it's like the worst thing in the world, or like it's getting harder and harder. I mean, your feelings are valid for sure, but there's outlets now more than ever. Even when I was telling Chris, like even going through this path of trying to get a therapist, I realized like for me personally, because I have insurance and all that stuff, I'm sure, like I had so many pathways to get to therapists that I was like, holy shit, I was almost overwhelmed, you know?
Yeah.
There was like this program and you could always do this, and like very reassuring throughout the whole thing. Oh, you know, if you don't want this, you could do this. We could.
There's like 1,000 different BetterHelps too, like just different names, but it's the same online type of deal. Therapy, literally.
All right, help. Medium help. Mediocre help, but you
medium
know.
well help. Over medium help.
Over medium help, where you come out cooked and it's a 5-hour session.
Better helpful. Helping hands.
Yeah.
Hella different shit.
But dude, honestly, just go. And easier said than done, of course, but maybe it is as easy as that, right? It's easy as just even getting it out in the world, or getting it out on a notebook first, being like, I need help. Literally just writing that
Big
down.
thing
I need help.
Big thing.
Like that's it. Like it's not just in your head anymore. It's like, oh shit. Because when you write that piece down and you write those words down, something about it just makes it feel real. Like, holy shit. And it's almost scary, because then you're like, I need help. You know?
Or to tell, it's harder, but to tell somebody, because that's basically what you're doing when writing, is like, it's another form of just getting it, like physically fucking getting the thought out of your head.
Yeah.
That changes everything, you know? Like, there's fucking so many studies that say, like, if you just talk to like somebody, it doesn't even matter who the fuck it is.
Yeah.
If they care, if they're your friend, anybody, like when you just say what's on your mind that's bothering you, it helps you like so fucking much, like such a percentage, you know?
And it's scary. Like you said, it's like I'm about to tell this person something that maybe we don't even talk about. Maybe it's like my coworker that all we talk about is sports and like our hobbies. But I'm going to tell you something that's almost a curveball.
Like, hey, man, can I tell you something?
Yeah, and they know, you know, whatever, but you're getting it out there.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know this is about therapy, but fuck, like if you're not ready for therapy, right? Like you said, tell a friend, tell a pastor, tell a neighbor, you know, tell a coworker, tell someone. It's like, write it down. Just don't keep it in your head. I would say that's the biggest thing for me, is personally would be like, don't keep it in your head, because one, it's just too much brain energy. You're going to feel like you're exhausted by the end of the day. It's going to be very cycle-like, very repetitive. But I think once you just do a little bit of action, it's going to break. Just going to add a little stem, you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, shit, it's not just head, think. It's like, oh, I did something, you know? And you're going to feel that relief and that gratification and that, like, looking back and be like, oh, my God, I did that immediately. You know, and then you're gonna want to expand on that. So yeah, thanks for listening to this. I don't know what it's gonna be called. This was two perspectives of kind of like how we got into therapy and why. Yours might be like totally different, or yours might be like, oh hey, actually I kind of resonated with that guy, and I don't have insurance, or I didn't use insurance, or I did use insurance. There's so many ways, dude. Like I'm telling you, right now is the time. Right now.
Oh yeah, that brings me back. I was fucking scrambling.
All right,
in my
guys.
head,
Well,
I was trying to think about. There's something you said that made me want to say some shit. But my therapist tells me all the time, like, your generation is doing so much work and like changing so much of the fucking like status quo regarding mental health and therapy, and like being vulnerable and actually talking about shit instead of just like brushing it under the rug and just fucking continuing generational trauma and shit like that, you know? Like, she always tells me how fucking, she's like, it is so good to see you like doing this work, like putting in so much work for yourself. Like, it's so refreshing because you young people are like being the change right now. And she's like, every time she's like, most people don't start doing this kind of work that you're doing until their 50s. And she's like, the fact that you're doing it now, like, you're gonna be so powerful. Mm-hmm. Like, it's such a thing to be proud of, which is nice. Unstoppable. So think of it that way. Be the change you want to see in the world. You know what I mean?
Even just like us doing it, 2 people. We're only 2 people.
Yeah.
but we're going to affect a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like even just us hearing it, just us hearing us say therapy, the word, is already just like a change that's different than 50 years ago.
Yeah.
You know?
I've been putting people on too. I've been putting Lindsay on all the time. She's
Yeah.
like, damn, it's like I'm getting like free therapy from you all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. But anyways.
All right, guys. Well, hope you
Thanks for
enjoyed. Let us know
listening.
in the comments. What did you think of this kind of segment?
Yeah.
Anything you kind of want to see, maybe like some questions you have, you could always DM us
Yeah.
personally or leave in the comments preferably, but DM is great either way.
Yeah.
Like we said, we don't know when we're going to do this or how long. It's very up in the air. But we just wanted to bring this to you, for you, and for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm really excited to do the next one. I don't know how soon it'll be, but I want to do it. Because I didn't get to talk about anything really regarding my like thing, but this is just the start. So it's like
just the start.
I feel like we had a lot of housekeeping to do before we could get to the real meat
Just the foundation.
meat and potatoes. You know what I mean?
Well,
But cheers to that, brother.
Stay healthy, stay young, stay horny.
We'll see you next time.
That's what we're leaving with you. And then our sponsor. Are you throwing a sponsor?
No sponsors
All right.
on this one.
See you guys.
Later.
Peace. Nice.
Ah,
Good, dude. That was cool. I feel like a real podcaster, right?
like it felt so different.
Yeah.